Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Straight Talk, where we give it to you straight with no chaser. I am your host and humble servant and occasional provocateur, Christopher Platt, your people's champ, as you can see. As always, we're broadcasting live this evening from the Platt Cave. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Hope everybody had a fine and productive weekend. I know I did a little traveling, had to step out to Illinois for a hot second. I had a really good time, but still feeling the effects of the jet lag and just the trip in general. You know, the initial flight ended up getting delayed for 12 hours. Excuse me. So we ended up catching the red eye, and then we had a 3-hour layover, and then we got on one of those itty bitty little planes, like, you know, the ones all the singers died in the 50s. You know what I mean? The plane was about as big as your average coffee table, right? So I'm sitting up front, and I got a guy next to me, and then I got a wall right in front of me. So I have no room for my limbs whatsoever. So I'm hanging out. I'm literally hanging out on the side of the plane like this because I don't have any other place to go. And then we got the damn flight attendant, man. This chick looked like Sister Mary Clarence from Sister Act. Not the nun, not Whoopi as the nun. I'm talking about Whoopi as the lounge singer, right? So the aisleway in the plane is this wide, and Sister Mary Clarence is this wide. So every time she's walking by, she's bumping me. So there was no such thing as sleep. So yeah, I'm still a little jet lagged right now, but we're gonna make it do what we do what it do, as we always do. I'm not gonna be too long on here tonight. We got the Cavs game on halftime, and I know a lot of you guys want to rush back to that. And by a lot of you guys, I mean me. I'm excited about that. Last time I checked, I think it was 49 up going into the half. So yeah, I want to get back to that. So we're not going to be on here too long tonight. We're not going to hold you guys. And I'm excited. I am from Cleveland, and I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. So I know how to temper my excitement, because Cleveland is the epitome and the personification of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So, and after you take a couple of heartaches and a couple of lumps, you learn how to temper your excitement as to not get your feelings hurt or to not be heartbroken by the inevitable. But perhaps this year is different. Maybe the king can get us a ring, right? So, yeah, we're not going to be on too long this evening because we do want to get back to that. Again, how's everybody doing out there? Now, if you're new to the broadcast, there's a couple of ways that we can go about doing this, all right? You can log on through your social stream of choice, be that Facebook, be that Twitter. If you're still out there trying to find employment, LinkedIn. If you're trying to get some ass, Tinder. Although I do not recommend dirty macking on Tinder. Dirty macking in cyberspace, that is a recipe for disaster, fellas. I would avoid that if I were you all. But that's neither here nor there. Now, you can also log on through the actual Ustream website itself. Now, you will have to create a username as well as a password. Now, once you do that, you can actually send your questions, comments, and concerns through the actual Ustream site. And I toggle back and forth between the social stream as well as the Ustream chat. So I'm going to see all your questions, all your comments, and your concerns. So if you don't mind, somebody shoot me a line right now in either or. Let me make sure they're working because, Ustream sometimes is a little janky. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't. They changed their format up about 6 months ago, and it's kind of been a pain in my arse since they did that. So somebody shoot me a line right quick in the chat. Let me know that the chat is working and available. Either the chat or the social stream, whatever's easiest. Just shoot me a line as I light my mile. So I'm feeling good. We're leaving spring behind, heading to the summer. Long, hot summer. Got a lot going on out there in the world today. I'm interested to see what you want to talk about. I want to take some questions today. I actually want to take a lot of questions today. See what's on you all's mind. And let's spark up a dialogue. For those that don't know, we started this. As I said, it is, as it says in the tagline, we discuss current problems and attempt to find solutions. So although it seems like a monologue, I much rather prefer to turn this into a dialogue, okay? I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your concerns. I want to hear your issues. I want to hear what's going on with you, okay? So, be that as it may, now that we got all the preliminaries out of the way, how you guys doing? So, One thing I did want to talk about before we get started here. Did you guys hear about the situation down there in Waco? They had the damn biker gang fight out there. Did y'all hear about that? I think it happened, what was it, either Saturday or Sunday. And that shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. I think there was something like 18 people injured, or 9 people taken to the hospital, or 9 people died. I know the police confiscated like 100 weapons. It was just they were out there getting it in. I thought a couple of things that struck out about that situation though. Number one, everybody was taken alive. Everybody was taken in alive. So that, and not to get too in depth into that, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. Everybody was taken in alive. Again, somebody shoot me a line either in the chat or the social stream. Let me know that it's working tonight. All right. So I thought that was odd, and that shit was just crazy. I mean, and this is the thing, man, about those biker gangs. Not a lot of people understand this or realize this. You might not know, but on the low, those biker gangs, man, they get it in. They get it in. I mean, they're running drugs from state to state. I'm talking about weight. Heavyweight. Not all of them, of course. Not all of them, but a lot of those biker gangs, they're pushing heavyweight. And then they're strong arming and extorting people for money, and they typically tend to live that outlaw type of lifestyle. So they get it in. Don't get it twisted. They get it in. However, when you hear the term gang, what's the first image that pops in your head? I'm going to say that again. However, when you hear the word gang, what is the first image that pops into your head? Things that make you go, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on out there. I know I was talking to a buddy of mine about the situation, and he was telling me that he thinks that the whole thing was staged. And it could be right, because he was saying that the cops were actually on the scene. But it could have been, they had to undercover infiltrate the gang, trying to, whatever criminal activities they were in, they had to undercover then infiltrated the gang, because they do things like that. I don't know. It could have been staged. I don't know. We're still learning about the situation as it progresses. They haven't given out a whole lot of information. And as of this broadcast, I haven't seen one article or anything on the news to where they were releasing the names of the people in the gang. I haven't seen anything like that. If I'm wrong, please do correct me if I am wrong about that, but I haven't seen that. But again, the main thing that stuck out in my mind is that when you think of the word gang, what is the first image that pops in your head? Things that make you go, right? Not saying, I'm just saying. Not saying, I'm just saying. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Because, I mean, they were getting it in, man. There was no calling of the National Guard. Again, everybody that was arrested, they took everybody alive. And then Black Twitter kind of went off on it, and I thought it was funny. They were talking about, oh, this white-on-white crime. It's just, oh, it's a plague on the nation. Just, cracking but facting simultaneously. You know what I mean? Just trying to prove a point, basically. Just trying to prove a point. Let's see what else we got going on. Who we got in the room this evening? Somebody shoot me a line. Let me see who we got in the room. Somebody shoot. Just say hi. I know Ustream is a little faulty. So like I said, if you can't log on through the Ustream account, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can log on through the social stream of your choice, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. Now, once you do that, you're also able to send your questions as well as your comments and your concerns to me. And I tend to toggle back and forth while I'm doing this. I toggle back and forth between these things just to see what everybody's thinking and to kind of take the temperature in the pulse in the room, of the pulse of the room. You know what I mean? But yeah, that biker thing, that was crazy, man. And I really didn't hear a lot about it on the news either. It wasn't breaking news. They didn't frame it like that. I didn't hear them called thugs or anything of that nature. Right? So I'm just saying. I don't know. That struck me as odd. But yeah, I'm still learning about that situation. I don't exactly know what happened, and that's one of the problems. They're not releasing a whole lot of information. Okay. I see we got a couple of questions. I got to use my alternative computer here because for whatever reason, they're not coming up on my chat. So I got to switch to my alternative computer. We're not going to disrupt the show whatsoever. I'm just going to have to toggle back and forth between computers and show my prowess as a communications guy. All right. So here we go. What we got going on here. So yeah. So what questions do we have going on here? And greetings, Ustreamer 0653. What's going on with you? Who is that? Greetings to you. Greetings and salutations. So let me see what we got going on. All right, let's see. A Row here asks, is increasing. What's up, Dirty? What's going on with you, Dirty? Hey, man, I'm going to hit you up this next upcoming week, brother. We need to chop it up a little bit. I ain't talked to you in a while. What's up, brother? A Row says, LA is increasing minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2020. What are your thoughts about that? And you know, I heard something about that. I did. I heard something about that. And my initial reaction to that was, I don't really understand how that is a good thing. I don't really understand how that's a good thing. Now, there's two ways that I look at this. Now, there's a long term and there's a short term. So we'll start with the short term and then we'll go ahead to the long term here. Now, short term, it might be a bit of a buzz because, you know, we've talked about this on this show from time to time. Eventually, they're going to have to put some money in the streets because the natives are getting restless. So the powers that be have got to put some money in the streets because the natives are getting restless. You know, when people get hungry, that's when revolutions start. Now, historically, in this nation, in terms of economics, it's been a cyclical pattern, okay? And the pattern goes recession, depression, economic growth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistakes about it. What we find ourselves here right now is in the midst of a depression. Now, don't get me wrong. The people at the top, they're stabilized and they're kind of maintaining. But the problem is that money has not trickled down to the masses yet, okay? They can't use that word depression because it scares people. Words scare people, so they can't use that word. But make no mistake about it, that's what it was. So now it's time for the economic growth to happen. And we've talked about it on this show ad nauseum. We've talked about where that growth is going to come from. We've talked about the emerging medicinal marijuana market, how that's about to be a big thing. And now they're talking about pushing, or they've passed the bill in Cali to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So you know it's only a matter of time before that hits nationwide, right? Now, the issue I have with that, and number one, let's start with the short term. Short term being, okay, as the minimum wage increases, everything else is going to go up as well. All right, that's inflation. So theoretically, they'll say, well, everything else is increasing, so we're going to raise our prices too. And then they'll hide behind, well, you know, we're increasing the wages, so we have to increase the cost to raise our profit margins and blah, 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 that, because that's the game that they run on us. Initially, you're not going to notice, by the way. Pardon me. Initially, you're not going to notice because you're going to be happy because you're thinking you're making more money. However, everything is going to increase, and with inflation and taxes, even though you're making more money, you're actually going to be taking less money home. You're going to be putting less money in your pocket. You dig? That's the short term. You're going to be making less money overall. You're going to be putting less money in your pocket, and you're going to be spending more money out. Now, initially, this is not going to be a problem. Everybody's going to be happy, okay? And they're going to be praising the new regime, whoever they decide to put in the White House. They're going to be praising the new regime. So everybody's going to be happy. So you're not going to be thinking about it. You're not going to be tripping. Everybody's going to have money to spend, and everybody's going to be trying to live extravagantly in this opulent lifestyle, even if they can't afford it. And the money is going to be circulating because, again, that's how money works. It needs to circulate and hit different hands for it to have an impact. So nobody's going to trip on that, right? Nobody's going to trip on that initially. But eventually that's going to come crashing down because historically it always does. Which brings me to the long-term ramifications of raising minimum wage, okay? Number one, all the more easier for big business and corporations to divest in America. Way easier for them to divest in America. Now, what do you mean by that, Christopher? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Now, what I mean by that is that this is how they're going to play it, okay? You heard it here first. Remember that. This is how they're going to play it. They're going to say between the increase in minimum wage and Obamacare, big business and corporations are going to tell you that they can't afford to pay their employees. That's what's going to happen. And then to make it sound good to the masses, they're going to play on the small business owners. Oh my God, this is killing and destroying the small business owners. Let me hip you to some game, all right? Let me hip you to game, okay? To put that in street vernacular. Let me hip you to game, all right? Neither liberal nor conservative gives a good goddamn about small business owners, okay? Neither liberal nor conservative cares anything about small business owners. Now, their rationale is that the small business owners are either going to reinvent themselves and come up with another way to make some money, or even if that small business owner falls to the wayside, there's going to be 10 more businesses popping up to take their place. So don't get fooled by that. Don't fall for the okie doke, because neither liberal nor conservative gives a damn about small business. So don't fall for the okie doke. And they throw that stuff out there because, number one, it keeps you holding on to this myth of the American dream. And number two, it sounds good. It sounds good. It's just like if somebody says, "Hi, how are you?" You say, "Hi, how you doing?" "I'm good, great, how are you?" You might not be feeling great. You might be having a shitty day, but you say that because it sounds good. So don't fall for that okie doke, because you're going to hear a lot about that. And I'm telling you right now, between that raising the minimum wage, and they're going to throw Obamacare in there as well, which, let's put this to bed right now, because we have been very critical of the Obama administration through this broadcast. But let's put this to bed right now, okay? This is America. This is 2015, okay? There's no excuse for anybody in this country to go hungry. And there's no excuse for anybody in this country to not be able to afford health care, okay? These are third world problems. We're a first world country. Get that shit together, okay? No excuse for that. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you got to make it work. You know what I mean? And y'all get so caught up in the rhetoric that y'all start parroting the rhetoric that you hear from the powers that be. You start parroting that shit and taking it to heart. And then you actually start believing that shit. They don't give a damn about small business. They don't give a damn about you. Okay? So don't fall for the okie doke. Now, another way to look at this, too, is all my people that are bitching and complaining and moaning about, quote unquote, illegal immigrants and immigration. Number one, shame on you about that. You know, these people trying to come over here and make a living, feed their families. Shame on you for that. But number two, if you got to pay legal American workers $15 an hour, do you think that's going to hinder? Or do you think that's going to bolster, quote unquote, illegal immigration hires? That's a question. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that's going to hinder, or do you think that's going to bolster illegal hires? Because let me tell you something. Why you sitting up here bitching about, quote unquote, illegal immigrants, mad at the wrong people again? Who do you think's hiring them? Who do you think's hiring them? And no, they're not taking your job, because I don't see your ass sitting out there at Home Depot at 6 o'clock in the morning trying to put up some damn drywall. So get off that too, okay? Get off that too. Just because you heard it on TV doesn't make it so, okay? Get off that too. But see, that's the problem with immigration, I beg your pardon. That's the problem with raising the minimum wage, because it gives businesses incentives to divest in America. Now, when I say divest in America, that means take jobs out of here. All right? That's what I mean by that. Take jobs out of here. And we've seen it happen in the Midwest. You remember the Midwest was the factory hub of America. And that migration from the South to the Midwest, that dates all the way back to pre-Civil War times. You know, black and white migrating to the Midwest, because when the Industrial Revolution hit, that's where the jobs were. But now, as technology has advanced, You don't need all those workers, because there was a time you could make a really nice living being a factory worker. I knew factory workers that were making 6 figures. You can retire, have a nice pension. A lot of kids went through college on those factory jobs. You know what I mean? A lot of parents put their kids through college via those factory jobs. People were able to invest in properties and land through those factory jobs, which is the quickest way to wealth, BTW. But they don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore. And see, by pushing up that minimum wage, again, it's gonna lead to a temporary bump, and it's gonna be happy days are here again. That's gonna be the quote unquote economic growth, and it's gonna lull you into a false sense of security because of it. That you're not gonna see it when the rug gets pulled out from under you, and they start outsourcing those jobs and those factories and those buildings overseas because it's cheaper. Because when it comes to big business, when it comes to corporation, it's all about the bottom line. The bottom line is the bottom line. It's all about making a dollar. It ain't personal. It's just business. And that's what's going to happen. Mark my words. Now, there's some other stuff I want to get into. I'm not going to get into it tonight because, honestly, I haven't been able to do my due diligence. So I want to be able to do my research on it, and then I'll report back to you all. But in the meantime, y'all got eyes, so I suggest you use them. Look up the Transatlantic Partnership. And we're going to be getting more in depth into that within the next coming weeks on this broadcast. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you do have eyes. I suggest you use them. A little homework for you. OK, look up the Transatlantic Partnership. The Transatlantic Partnership. OK, look into that. And it ties into this conversation. And again, we'll get a little more in depth into that within the next coming week. So please stay tuned and spread the word. But that's how I feel about them raising the minimum wage. That's the okie doke. That's the okie doke. Because they have to flood the streets with some money because the natives are getting restless. So they got to put some money out there. So that medical marijuana, that's going to turn into a booming industry. They're going to raise the minimum wages. And you're going to think it's all good. And slowly, everything else is going to raise around you. But you're not going to notice it again because you're making more money. And the money is circulating. And it's going to have the appearance that everybody is eating. And then the rug's going to get pulled out from under us. Again, throughout the history of this country, it's been cyclical. It's been recession. It's been depression. It's been economic growth. That's how it goes. Recession, depression, economic growth. Okay? So it's time for the growth. Now, they couldn't flood the streets with money with Obama in there because they're not going to give a black man credit for fixing the economy. You know that. Come on now. That's just straight talk. You know that. So the next regime, they'll get the credit for that one. They'll get the credit for that one. And you're going to think it's all good. They're going to rock you to sleep. And then while you out there spending money on some shit you ain't got no business spending money on, they're going to be unloading the equipment out the back door. You know what I mean? Getting ready to ship that job over to Thailand or wherever. But to learn more about this, again, I want you guys, that's your homework. I want you to Google the Transatlantic Agreement. It's either agreement or partnership, but you type it in and you'll find it, okay? And again, we'll get more into that, in depth into that as the weeks go on. But I appreciate that question. Thank you very much. Let's see, what else do we have here? Speaking of money, do you think buying a house by an airport is a decent investment? Ooh, a real estate question. I like those. Yeah, I like those. Well, no. Short answer, no. And the reason I say that is that whenever you buy property, you always have to look at it as an investment. See, a lot of us have this dream that we're going to buy this house and that's where we're going to start our foundation. We're going to raise our kids there, and we're going to grow old there with our significant other and all those types of things. Some people do that. Some people do that. However, the more likely reality of the situation is that the average homeowner only stays in their home for 5 to 7 years. So when you invest in a piece of property, or when you buy a piece of property, you need to look at it as it is an investment, because that's what it is. So being an investment, you always got to be worrying about the resale because you're going to make your money on the back end, right? And there's certain neighborhoods in certain areas that are just undesirable when it comes to reselling a property. Now, one of those is by an airport. That's going to be a tough resale. Number one, you don't know if you want to live by an airport. It's loud, it's noisy, it's going to be traffic and congested. You don't know if you want to live by an airport. And nobody else really wants to live by an airport. Now, one of you geniuses out there is going to tell me, well, you can sell it to a pilot or sell it to a stewardess, which is true, but come on, man. So you always have to think about these things when you make an investment, any investment. And that's one of the neighborhoods that you kind of want to avoid. You want to avoid property by the airport. You also want to avoid 2-bedroom homes because, the average homeowner, the average home buyer has a family. So they're going to need at least 3 bedrooms. And that's going to be kind of difficult to move. And you also want to avoid homes on busy streets or major streets because, again, the average homeowner, average home buyer has children, and they're not going to want their kids playing that close to the street. You understand? To a busy intersection that increases the likelihood that they may get hurt. So you have to think about those things. Now, if it's cheap enough, you might have to take that risk. Because another key about investments, and you have to remember this. If you don't remember anything else I say tonight, remember this. You make your money in the buy. With any investment whatsoever, you make your money in the buy. Now, so for example, let's say widgets are selling for $5 a pop. All right, let's say widgets are selling for $5. Now, if I buy a widget for $3, of course I want to get $5 for it. But if I'm forced to sell it at $4, I still just doubled my money. You understand? As opposed to buying a widget at $5, trying to sell it for $6, when the market says they're worth $5. So now, worst case scenario, I break even. Or best case scenario, rather, I break even. Worst case scenario, I got to take a hit. I got to take a L, right? And I've been there. We got caught up like that. We bought some properties and we overpaid for them at the time. And then when the crunch hit, we couldn't move them. Yeah, they were fully furnished. Yeah, they were fully renovated. Yeah, they were beautiful. But at the same time, it was hard to get somebody to pay those prices when you could go down the street and pay a fraction of that. So keep that in mind. You always, with any investment, you always make your money in the buy. Because if you buy it cheap enough, you'll be able to sell at a price and still make a profit. Okay? So that was actually a very good question. I appreciate that. Let's say Elro said, of course, they're going to hire more illegal immigrants as they can to pay them much less. Of course. You telling me they got to pay your ass $15 an hour and provide you with health care? Man, please. Really? So they're going to allow more quote unquote illegals in here, and then they're going to have you pissed off at the illegals, right? That's the next group because they already got black and white. We fight at each other or fighting with each other. We're more divided now than we've been since Jim Crow. So everybody's going to be mad at everybody, right? And we all going to be mad at the wrong people. Now look up that transatlantic agreement. Again, I didn't want to go too in depth in that because I'm still researching it myself. Plus, I didn't want to scare you guys. I don't really want to scare you. I'm at this point, I'm just trying to get y'all to take the red pill and step out the matrix. So I didn't want to scare you. So I can't take you from 0 to 160, right? I'm still trying to get y'all to take the red pill. So we'll get there. I just want y'all to open up your eyes and see what's right in front of your face, right? But that's a very good question. And please feel free to send me your property questions, your real estate questions, whatever questions or concerns you have going on in your life. That's what I'm here for. What's up, Nitty? See the Cavs up by 1 in the third. We'll get you out of here before the fourth quarter, okay? We'll get you guys out of here before the fourth starts. But yeah, I would avoid airport properties and things of that nature. You always got to be looking to invest. Because, you're not going to stay in your home for the rest of your life. The average homeowner doesn't, so odds are you're not going to. You're going to be looking to sell that property in 5 to 7 years. See, and as humans, a lot of times we get caught up and we become sentimental with things. We become very sentimental in terms of things, when in reality things come and go. The things aren't what matters. What matters is the memories. That's what really matters, is the memories, not the things, because things come and go. You can have things, you can lose things, you can get things again. Things come and go. What really matters is the memories. And see, once you take that red pill and you take that first step out the matrix, you take those glasses off, you'll be able to see how we've been trained to value materials over memories, over personal connections, over human interactions. And it's really comes down to because we're trying to fill a void. And you feel it. I know you do. You feel that void. You don't quite know what it is. You can't quite explain it, but you know it's there. So we try to fill that void with things. We try to fill it with materials. We try to fill it with dope. We try to fill it with alcohol. We try to fill it with sex. Whatever your vice is, we try to fill it. And it's a temporary fix. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Might even feel good in that moment. But then eventually you're right back to where you started. And I think I'm going to do a whole show about that too. As a matter of fact, that might be next week's topic. If nothing happens, if nothing, huge happens, that might be next week's topic. We might start to talk about how to unpack your baggage, how to get rid of those bags and unpack your baggage and try to live a more fulfilled life. We might get into that a little bit next week. That might be the topic next week if nothing else happens. But yeah, so I just want y'all to peep game, man. That's all. That's why I'm out here. That's why I'm doing this, man. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm just plugging away. I'm the little engine that could. I just keep plugging and I keep plugging and I keep plugging. And if I can reach one person and make you think a little differently, adjust the screen a little bit because it's slightly skewed. You can see what it is. But yeah, don't get too caught up in materials, especially when it comes to housing. You got to realize that housing is an investment. And honestly, land and real estate is the quickest way to obtain wealth. Land is one of the first things my father taught me about the real estate business, is that land is the most precious commodity there is, because they ain't making no more of it. There's a finite number of land or amount of land, and if you're able to get your hands on a piece of it, that is a valuable asset. Again, I thank you for the question. Let me see, what else do we have here? What else we got going on here? I apologize for this setup tonight. It's a little bootleg because we're having some technical difficulties outside of our control. But one monkey don't stop the show, right? Let me see, what else do we have over here? Ooh, relationship question. I like those. Okay. How impactful are age differences in relationships? It's an interesting question. Well, it depends. I don't really think that they're that impactful. Of course, there's always some extreme instances and cases where that plays in a factor. But generally speaking, women tend to be more attracted to older men because they're a little more stable and a little more established in every sense of the word. They're a little more stable and a little more established in every sense of the word. And plus, a lot of times women find older men attractive because they have that knowledge and that wisdom and that game that they can pass on to them in hopes of them being upgraded. Does that make sense? And also, you have to remember that women mature faster than guys, physically as well as mentally. So, you might be in a relationship with a woman that's a little bit younger than you or that's younger than you, but that might mean that you're mentally on the exact same plane or you meet at the exact same level. So, obviously there are extreme cases, but for the most part, age is not that big of a determinant. As long as everybody's legal and ain't nobody going to jail, do you. Okay? Yeah, age isn't that big of a factor. You understand? But that was a pretty good question. Let me see. What else do we have here? No, I feel you. Yeah, yeah. Look up, Noel, look up transatlantic. It's either agreement or partnership. Google that and look it up. We're gonna get into that more in depth within the next coming weeks. And yeah, Frank, we're gonna get you out of here, man, because I want to check out this fourth quarter myself. So we're gonna shut it down here shortly. Let me see what else do we have here. How do you help your partner understand your communication style? That's interesting. My answer to that is simple though. Focus more on understanding their communication style. Focus more on understanding their communication style, especially coming from the point of view of a woman, because as a woman, eventually you're going to know your man better than your man knows himself. Because you all are just, women are very observant and they're very in tune to emotions. You understand? They're in tune to people's emotions and they're good at reading the room. They're better at reading the room and surveying the situation than men. So eventually you're going to know your man better than your man knows himself. Okay? So you need to focus on trying to understand your partner's communication style, be this male or female. You focus on understanding their communication style. And then once you understand how they communicate, and again, most importantly, understand the why they communicate in that specific way, because the why is always the most important question, which is odd because, you know, as youth, we were always taught whenever we said why, we get an answer like because I said so, or because that's how it is, trying to shut us up. But that's the most important question, is always the why, because if you can get to the why, you get to the crux of what's really going on. So understand how they communicate, and then you understand why they communicate the way they communicate. And then you can try to meet them on some level ground. You know what I mean? You can kind of tailor your pitch to their style. Not saying to subjugate you or your style of communication. Not saying to subjugate you at all. You don't ever want to lose yourself in a significant other. You know what I mean? Because what happens is that one day you'll look up and again, you'll feel that void. And you don't know where it came from, and you've completely lost yourself. And you're looking in the mirror and you don't even recognize who you are anymore. And then that's going to lead to conflicts. That's going to lead to that's going to lead to resentment. That's going to build up. And then that self can manifest itself in a myriad of dangerous ways. So I say don't focus so much on trying to prove your point. Try to see it from the other person's point of view. Come out of yourself for a second and try to put yourself in the other person's in the other person's shoes, and try to see it from their point of view and understand their communication style and why they communicate in that specific way, even if their style of communication is little to no communication. And then once you have a basic understanding of why and how they communicate, then you're able better to understand how you need to reach them. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's my answer to that one. Yeah. Don't focus so much on the you, focus on the other person. Because another problem that we have as humans, and I run into this myself, we expect other people to react based on how we would react in situations. And that's not fair. We project how we would react in certain situations and expect other people to react that way. And that's not fair to them. So you always have to try to see it from the other person's point of view. You always have to try to see it from their side. Okay? Number one, it humanizes that individual, so it takes the venom out of you. You know what I mean? It takes the venom out of you. And once you understand the why, then we can start to work on the how. Does that make sense? So guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up this evening because I do want to check out the fourth quarter of this game. Go Cavs, whoop-de-whoop. If you guys are new to the broadcast, again, we do this every Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at The Real C Platt. Again, follow me on Twitter at The Real C Platt. You can also find me on Facebook at Christopher Platt. It's me and my rabbi buddy in the picture. And also follow the Straight Talk IGC page. If you haven't done that yet, go to the Straight Talk IGC page and like that. Now, if you miss any of the previous broadcasts, you can also go to the Straight Talk YouTube channel, which is Straight Talk IGC. Again, the YouTube channel is Straight Talk IGC. And because advertising works in threes, the YouTube channel is Straight Talk IGC. So you can see the previous shows, and I'm going to start doing some other stuff with that too. We're just hitting the tip of the iceberg on that. So I'm excited. I've got a lot of big things lined up and planned out, and we're moving. We're gonna keep it moving like an escalator. All right. So again, see me back. I'll see you guys back here next week, God willing. Same plat time, same plat channel. Until we meet again. Shalom.